Welcome to Tea Time.
Welcome back to Tea Time. What time is that?
It's the time to play amazing video games. Get them gaps.
And today's amazing video game is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. We are showing you how to find all the gaps.
Yep. And today we're working on the school, Miami, in Tony Hawk's 1, technically.
So let's dive into the first gap. Ditchin Class. To ditch class, you've got to clear the ditch that runs through the lower portion of the level. I get why they call it Ditchin Class now. There's a little kicker ramp to help you over, and that's how you ditch class.
Also, real fast, it's ditchin', not ditching, ditchin'.
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 Yeah, don't be a nerd.
Yeah, that's how you ditch class. But the funny thing is you're actually going to stick around the school for like the rest of the level, you loser.
Yeah. All right, up next we got Dumpster Rail Gap. Now, if you go next to the gym, there's an alleyway. Beside that is a string of rails over dumpsters, another rail, and then more dumpsters. So what you're going to do, you're going to get a string of gaps all in a row here. You're going to go grind on the top rail, go over the dumpsters, grind on the bottom rail. Now, if you want, you can carry that over and just jump onto that C rail of dumpsters and then ollie over that dumpster over that far side and get a garbage ollie gap as well. It's a little twofer.
The Funbox to table transfer is located at the far end of the climbing wall on the lower portion of the level. The Funbox, as it's called, is basically this dope trapezoid over here. Jump from it and grind on the table to snab the Funbox to table transfer. Here's a pro tip. Maybe it helps you to first get on top of the Funbox and start there, as opposed to using the ramp to jump.
Yeah, you can overshoot this very easily if you're statted up. Up next, we got the garbage ollie. Now, if you heeded my advice the first time, you would have just gotten this already. But if you didn't, for whatever reason, you can go back in that alleyway and essentially just ollie over any of the solo dumpsters, and you will get the garbage ollie.
The Gimmie Gap is the one you actually get from the starting position, and all you have to do is jump down onto the planter box and grind to get the Gimmie Gap. It's called that because it's so easy, and I can vouch for that because jumping 10 feet down off a roof and landing in a grind on a skateboard on a planter box is just part of my normal Tuesday.
It's like your everyday life, right? It's like you wake up.
It's just what I do.
You just ollie out of your bedroom right onto a ledge.
It's like, does Taylor do that every day? And it's like, well, yeah, that's a gimme.
So why wouldn't you? So I was going to point out that you have to grind, but it's a gimme. Oh, we are here. The Hall Pass Gap. Gotta love this one. This one's a doozy. In order to obtain your Hall Pass, it's going to take some doing. Under the awning at the start is a lawn. On that lawn is a kicker. Attached to that kicker is a rail. The rest is pure luck. Actually, no, you just need some skill here. Grind the rail, and just before the end of it, ollie off, and hope you don't smack your face on that brick wall ahead of you, and then position yourself accordingly to where you will land on the ledge right below you and grind.
The All Access Gap. This one's super interesting because you actually have to manage to like stuff your skater under this picnic table in the beginning. No, I'm just kidding. It's just the big rail that leads down the main staircase in the opening part of the level.
Such skill.
Check it out.
All right, up next, huge rail. For this one, you just got the left side quarter pipe leading into the poolside area. Make sure you grind all the way from one end to the other, and this is one of those grinds or one of those gaps that you can only get going one direction. You will notice, we'll follow with the gigantic rail and the long ass rail.
The Kicker Gap. Just like every other thing called the Kicker Gap, you just jump over the space in between the two kicker ramps, which are down at the lower end of the level.
Yeah, and kick something while you're at it. Why not?
A flip, maybe.
Yeah. Kick a flip.
That's what they should be called. Kick a flip. Hello, sir. I just did a kicker flip.
That would have changed the outcome of skateboarding as we know it. If it was called a kick a flip in 1989, no one would take it seriously. They'd be like, what is this dork shit? Up next, we got long ass rail. This one is located over by that alley, actually. where the dumpsters are, also where you go to get the hall pass gap. So it's on those ledges. You got a left side and a right side. Grind that right side just from the start of the top down and go past the quarter pipe at the bottom there. Or not really a quarter pipe. It's more like a little launch ramp pyramid thing. Yeah, you got it.
The mini gap is the little break in the quarter pipe back by the far side of the climbing wall. You can either use the quarter pipe itself to jump over this gap or clear it during a grind on the lip of the quarter pipe. And here's a fun fact. There's actually another version of the mini gap up on the roof, so you can take your pick.
Over a footbridge. Yeah, we're getting there. I'm sure you've been looking at these footbridges like, oh, we're going to do something on those, right? There's got to be a gap on those ones, right? Because everything you've tried so far doesn't do anything, right?
Probably has to do with something in the gym.
Yeah. So across the ditch that you use to actually ditch class, you want to go down in there. You will find a couple of kickers that are positioned perfectly in front of a footbridge.
To get over the air conditioner, first you need to get to the roof, which you can do using the ramp in the alley near the starting area. To get credit for this gap, you need to clear the entire square structure up here, which you can do via the surrounding ramps. Honestly, you don't even really need to make it all the way over the thing to get credit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to argue this is not an air conditioner. Like, if it is an air conditioner, it's the size of a small classroom.
That's the coldest school you've ever been to.
It's the coldest gym. It's just for the gym. Oh yeah, the park gap, just like the mini gap, mini gap, and all other transfer gaps. They're everywhere. Just go over that quarter pipe there and gap that door that you see in the wall there. That is pretty obvious. Yeah, gap it. Boom. Done.
The planter gap is a gap between the planters, so get the planter gap by gapping between the planters gap.
Does it matter if it's a planter for individual use or planter for like a lawn or something? Because I see there are multiple types of planters here in this level, Taylor.
It does not matter!
The playground rail is the climbing wall. Now, there are two fun boxes on opposite sides of this climbing wall, and there are two options to grind. Well, three if you count both sides. But anyway, you want to go to the side that has the fun box that's closest to the wall itself, and go ahead and get a little speed off that quarter pipe. Not too much, because you got to get to the very end of one side, back to the other end of the other to get the entire gap. So do it. It takes some doing. It's finicky. Just heed my advice.
The rail-to-rail transfer is unique because there are much more than one. Honestly, you can pretty much transfer from one rail to any other rail in the level and get credit for this gap. There are a ton of different locations you can achieve this, but we're going to show you a couple obvious ones here.
The roof to awning gap. Now, remember that big-ass questionable air conditioning unit? You can't get it while you're grinding. Ooh.
Oh, the BAQACU, yeah.
A BAQACU, yeah, that one. That's exactly the one. All right, so you're on top of it. Go ahead and face yourself toward the awning where you see the rail is attached to it, and just Ollie. Or do a kick-a-flip.
Everything looks better with a kick-a-flip. To get the roof-to-roof gap, you need to transfer from the roof with the air conditioner to literally the only other available roof. You'll see it on the side there. You can use the quarter pipe for easy access or be a real boss and just make the jump. Do it. Just make the jump.
All right, the Funbox to rail transfer. On that Funbox that's closest to the playground rail, aka the climbing wall, there's that quarter pipe there. Go ahead and link a string of tricks from the Funbox to the coping of that quarter pipe and do a grind. It's easy to overshoot. So just as long as you make it on the coping of any side of it, you're good from that Funbox. I would also recommend, TTime pro tip, just start on the top of the Funbox and then just ollie onto the quarter pipe. It's so much easier. than what I was doing that whole time.
It does make that quite a bit easier. All right, to get the downhill manual gap, just turn around from where you start the level, bust out a manual, and make like 2020 and slide downhill for a really long time.
Across the gym. Yeah. All right. Across the gym. Go inside the gym there. Onto either side here of the gym, you can just manual across it. It has to be horizontally, though. It can't be lengthwise. The across part is essentially just the basketball court. So as long as you go from one bleacher to the other bleacher, you're good.
You might say, as long as you travel across the basketball court. Get it?
Oh.
To snag the roof hop gap, you need to use the quarter pipe in the lowest section of the level to launch yourself onto the building that separates the playground area, which is, yes, that's what I'm calling it, from the pool area.
Down the awning. To get this one, it's another manual gap. So on the same awning that you use to get the roof to awning gap, you can go ahead and just continue that string of tricks you're doing already and manual all the way down the ramp portion of the awning and launch yourself off into a snazzy McTwist, if you will.
Perfectly balanced. To get this one, you need to grind as much of the balance beam in the gym as possible. It's important to note that in order to get credit for it, you do need to have touched all 3 segments of this during a grind. Even if you just kiss the rail, that's okay. Our advice is to slow down as much as possible and make sure you touch all 3 portions of the beam to snag the gap. Check it out.
Yeah, I literally, off screen, I was trying this again, and I like touched my nose up to the rail, the nose of the board up to the rail, and then just ollie and grinded, and then it was perfect speed if you just have no speed at all. Also, I want to point out that this was the most satisfying gap for me to find. When I was a kid, I remember finding this gap because it was one that I read it and didn't quite get it at first, and then I thought about it and it was like, well, this is what it should be because it's a balance beam. So I was like trying to grind this in all different ways, and I finally got it, and I was like, they actually did it. It's amazing. They have a punny mind or whatever. It was ridiculous, but I was proud of myself, my 12-year-old self.
It's a sneaky gap.
It's a sneaky
Especially
gap.
since you might just go in and grind the balance beam and think there's nothing to it.
Yeah. Gigantic rail. This one is opposite side of huge rail, and you just have to grind the entire coping of that quarter pipe from around the bend to the wall of the pool house, or I don't know what you call that. It's a wall that a pool's attached to.
It's a pool wall.
It's a pool
Everyone
wall.
calls it a pool wall.
It's a pool wall.
Pool wall. You grinded the huge rail. You slided on the gigantic rail. Now get ready to do the ridiculous rail. Yep, it's located behind the start area. Get grinding on the ledge on the left side of the downhill slope and grind it as far as it will go. Congratulations, now you're ridiculous.
And you've done all of the gaps now, which is equally as ridiculous.
Enjoy your completed challenge. Collect those Tony Hawk dollars.
Yeah, level
and
up.
We will see you
on the next TTime. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
I'm trying to think of a good joke and pun with the word gap in it, and I can't do it. It's just I'm sitting in silence, hanging my head in shame, and the episode will fade out, cutting me off before I have a chance to utter a laugh.